The deputy leader of the Labour Party, Harriet Harmen, has temporarily moved out of her home after Fathers for Justice protesters dressed as comic book superheroes climbed onto her roof. The demonstrators say they want greater father access to children. Ms Harmen said it was unfair to wait police time and said she was going to stay elsewhere. Well, our correspondent Emma North is outside Harriet Harmen's house in South London. Emma, tell us what's going on at the moment.
Well, first of all, let's get a little better look of the two men who are currently on top of Harriet Harmen's house here in Herne Hill in London. If we look, those two men there are Mark Harris and Jolly Stanesby. They're dressed up as cartoon characters Captain Conception and Cash Gordon. Those two men earlier on this morning took a ladder and provisions, they say, for a week, walked straight into Ms Harmen's garden, got up onto the roof, and there they say they're going to stay until Ms Harmen comes back and reads a book that Mr Harris has written. Mark Harris and Jolly Stanesby are both men who they say have been deprived of access to their children. Mr Harris has in fact spent some time in prison, and he's written a book called Family Court Hell, which describes his experience. They say they've given Ms Harmen this book and won't come down until she's read it and is prepared to talk to them. They say they've tried to contact her to try to get access in a slightly more polite way, but Harriet Harmen, as she left her home this afternoon, said that that was not the case.
At about 7 o'clock, I think, this morning, Fathers for Justice climbed onto the roof of my house. We're going to move out and stay somewhere else because I don't think it's fair for police resources to be tied up outside my house because of this demonstration when they could be doing other important policing work in my constituency and in the rest of the London Borough of Southwark. I also think it's unfair on the neighbours. So we're moving out. They've said that this is because they want a meeting with me, but I've checked with my constituency office and they haven't sought a meeting, and I've also checked with my ministerial office and they haven't asked for a meeting there. So this is clearly just a demonstration. In addition to that, my constituents know that if ever they want to have an appointment with me, well, in fact, they don't need an appointment. They can come down to the town hall on a Friday where I have my advice surgery. And in fact, the day before yesterday, I was having an advice surgery and there was about 50 or so of my constituents there. And I was down at the town hall and nobody from Fathers for Justice came down. So this is a demonstration. It's not fair to tie up the police resources and inconvenience my neighbours. The police have got more important work that they can be doing. So I'd like to thank them very much for their professionalism that they've exercised this morning, and I don't plan to make any further statement or answer any questions.
Harriet. So why has Harriet Harmen been targeted? Well as being Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, she's also Secretary of State for Equality and Minister for Women. Fathers for Justice say that last year she decided that she would make the courts a little bit more open so that fathers could get better access. But Fathers for Justice claim that that was just an empty promise and that nothing has also been done. And also bear in mind last week the embryology bill talked a little bit more about how fathers do not need to be named on birth certificate. The two men up there are part of a group, Fathers for Justice, which have now developed this signature means of working where they dress up as ridiculous cartoon characters to say what they say is a very, very serious point about how fathers can't get access to their children. Jolly Stanesby, one of the men up there, has said that he's tried all the channels to talk to Harriet Harmen. She's simply not listened to him.
Well, you know, I've got enough, we've got enough stuff for about a week. And we'll just take one day at a time. Well, as I said, as an organisation, we have attempted to meet her and she's refused to talk to us. I think that's probably enough, isn't it? She's refused to talk to us as an organisation. She's probably going to refuse to talk to us on an individual level. Well, these are MPs. They're in the firing line anyway. Over a year ago, she talked about opening up the family courts. We knew at the time it was just lip service and there was no intention. There's massive corruption going on in this country, and they have got no intention of opening it up and exposing it. Groups have been campaigning for change in family courts for 30 to 40 years. We've tried every other method available to us, and none of them have worked. Since Fathers for Justice have been working, things are on the change. So our campaign is working. It's a slow process, but it is working, and something has to be done about it.
Whether it works or not, according to that man from Fathers for Justice, it certainly is an extremely high-profile number of things that they do. If you remember a couple of years ago, purple powder was thrown at Tony Blair during Prime Minister's Questions time, and also the Fathers for Justice campaigners have managed to scale the roof of Buckingham Palace in the past. Either way, this now opens up the question as to how much security ministers should be allowed. Harriet Harmen, Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, you would think would get some certain degree of security, maybe even a policeman at her door. But Fathers for Justice say they just walked straight in this morning and got a ladder and up they went. They say they don't mean any harm to her. They in fact watched her and talked to her as she was watering the flowers this morning. Ms Harmen says she's left now to try and calm things down a little so that neighbours and police aren't inconvenienced. But for the meantime, this road is sealed off. You can't get in or out. This is inconvenience enough in itself.
Emma North for a moment. Thank you very much.